Wine live stream. And this morning we come to you from a very cold. It's 8 degrees outside in the winelands. It's raining, and of course, the best thing to do is to start the day with a cup of coffee. And where else could you find a proper and nice cappuccino or a flat white or a coffee than at Jordan Bakery? And make sure you run over to Jordan Wines and visit the bakery. It's also a fantastic place to visit for breakfast. So it's a good morning this morning to actually go find a hot breakfast in the wineland somewhere at one of our fantastic breakfast places. And like I say, if you're in Stellenbosch or close by, Somerset West, Jordan Winery is absolutely a fantastic choice to go have a breakfast at. So why not go and do that? So before I start with the announcements this morning, I just want to say uh, we still have this lockdown special thanks to our sponsors, the Fishwives Club. Let me just have a sip of my coffee here, which unfortunately I didn't get at Jordan Wines or at the Jordan Bakery. I had to make it at home, but it's still nice. So nice roasted coffee. It's good for in the mornings. So, we have a 45% off lockdown special from our sponsors, the Fishwives Club. Thank you to them for sponsoring this morning live stream. It ends on the 31st of August. You get a case of Merlot and a case of Sauvignon Blanc delivered straight to your door. So, today's the 29th. So, that means there's 3 days left for you to get this. So, don't delay, get it, and just go to fishwivesclub.gr8.com. Now let's go over to our announcements. The first announcement, of course, is Cap Classic Day. We are on the 1st of September. We are really celebrating our bubbly. South Africa makes some of the best uh, uh, sparkling wines in the world. I mean, our wines compete with the best, and we need to celebrate it. And what you can do is, if you're going to buy your loved one flowers for the 1st of September, Spring Day, which is Tuesday next week, why don't add a bubbly? Add a bottle of Cap Classic, right? And send us a picture and use the hashtag Cap Classic Day. We are going to have a fantastic day on the 1st. I've interviewed 6 of our top Cap Classic producers, and they are all those podcasts are going to be screened and published on that day. They are published on all the normal places: YouTube, Facebook, Instagram TV, Google Podcast, iTunes, and also on Spotify. So you can get it quite widely and listen to these podcasts. How the stories of your Cap Classic producers. We're celebrating Cap Classic Day, and it would be great if you guys would actually take pictures of South African bubbly and put that on your group. Share it to your social media and use the hashtag Cap Classic Day. You can also find uh, if you're anywhere in the world or you want to find Cap Classic, just go to bit.ly// find MCC. Can you repeat that? That's bit.ly// find MCC. And then another big thing or big campaign that we're busy with, as everybody knows, is the hashtag 60 and 60 campaign. As you guys know, our producers still have tough times. Um, and 60 and 60 is launching tomorrow. So tomorrow is going to be a big day for us. We're going to feature our first producer of the hashtag 60 and 60. And we're going to feature one producer every day for 60 days from tomorrow until the 28th of October. And what you will see, it's each day there will be 3 posts on Facebook, some on Instagram in the morning about the farm or the producer, in the afternoon about the winemaker or the winemakers, and the evening about the wine that the producer wants to showcase. And we'll also be doing, obviously, a live stream every morning and evening, like we do every single day. And we'll be talking about the producer that is featured for the day. So that is important. That you log in and that you use these hashtags. Hashtag 1660, hashtag Save SA Wine, and hashtag Drink South African. Please support us. If you guys can now, while you are listening to this, go to instagram.com/savesawine.co.za. That's instagram.com/savesawine.co.za. And please leave a comment on our Instagram. That will be fantastic, because that will really help, to get the story out of the 1660 campaign. So thank you very much for everybody in our group that's supporting this. Um, and like you guys can see, our September is almost already filled up with producers taking part. So this is going to be very, very exciting. Um, we also want to ask you, well, actually, I just want to thank you guys. We just passed 55,000 people on our Facebook group, the facebook.com/groups, Save SA Wine. Has passed 55,000 people, which is fantastic. And everyone is in the group is extremely active and supporting us, and thank you for that. My appeal to you now is to actually, for each one, to just invite 2 to 3 people. We want to push this group to 100,000 people, so that we can have a major impact. We want to make sure that our wine industry is safe, our wine tourism industry flourishes, and we also want to put pressure on the powers to be that an alcohol ban like the one that happened never happens again. So we need to keep the pressure up. So I'm appealing to each and every one of you to please help with that. And then I'm going over to our podcast of today. As you guys know, every live stream we have a featured podcast, and this is a great way for you as a consumer to learn about our wineries, our winemakers, our winelands businesses. Um, uh, uh, some of these talks are very, very interesting. Actually, they're all very interesting to learn about these people and how they keep the winelands sticking. If you're a producer or a winelands business and you want to be featured on your podcast, please email us at visitthewinelands@gmail.com. Before I go over to the podcast, I just need to say one final. I want to say is, if you still need to get your morning coffee, hop over to Jordan Wines, and why not get a hot breakfast there as well at the bakery? Fantastic place, or even go for lunch. Um, it's a rainy day in the Winelands, perfect day for a nice hot breakfast, a nice lunch with a bottle of red wine. So, lots of things to do. And then just before I go, final thank you to our sponsors of this morning's live stream, the Fishwives Club Boutique Winery. They've got a 45% off lockdown special. It ends on the 31st of October, and the 31st of August. I almost extended it for 2 months. It ends on the 31st of August in 2 days' time, and you get a case of Merlot, 6 bottles, a case of Sauvignon Blanc, and delivered to your home via express courier. And there's a massive 45% off discount that's never going to be repeated. So go out and get that. So now over to our featured podcast of the day. Today I'm talking. Well, this is actually a replay of an interview I had with Philip Myburgh. He's the owner of the Meye Estate in Stellenbosch. And, the Meye is a family-owned boutique winery. It's on the Stellenbosch Wine Route, and it's close to the Mulservlei area. And this special little spot has been the home and the farming ground for the Myburgh family for 5 generations. And it's actually been named after the Meye River in Holland. And it's the birthplace of the first Myburgh who came to the farm in 1665. And it's a fantastic place to visit. Also have a restaurant. So listen to the podcast, and if you can this weekend, get over to the Meye Wine Estate. Make sure you log into our evening live stream this evening. More announcements, and obviously the pre-show for what's happening tomorrow. Tomorrow is the hashtag 1660 campaign kickoff show tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock. So I really want to get everybody to take part in the hashtag 1660 because we need to help your producers. So make sure you log in tomorrow morning at 9. But now, without further waiting, let's go to our podcast of the day, Philip Myburgh of the Meye.
Welcome to About the Winelands. In this show, we'll be chatting to leaders, influencers, wine producers, restaurants, winelands businesses, and other role players. Tune in every Wednesday, Friday, and Sunday for our latest episodes. You will find us on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram TV, Google Podcast, Apple Podcast, and Spotify. Good day, everyone, and welcome back to About the Winelands. Today, I'm speaking to Philip Myburgh of the Meye. Welcome, Philip, to About the Winelands.
Thank you very much. Good to be here.
Well, it's such a pleasure talking to you. I mean, I've been to you. I've been to your place, which is absolutely beautiful. And, I've always thought it would be great to actually interview you. So can you tell us a little bit of the history? I mean, you're the fifth generation Myburgh on your farm. Tell us a bit of your history and, yourself also, how you got involved in the wine industry and of the Meye.
Yeah. I always say fifth generation to be farming in the area because I'm not part of the farm is part of the old family farm, but as most family farms, pieces were different family members took over different sections and some were added on, etc. But let's say farming in Mulservlei, fifth generation. So it's, let's say where we are now, the part where the cellar is, that was added on in 1980. My father did that. My cousin's farm next door to me at Stellenbosch, and which is very nice to have. There are a lot more family members in the area, which is rather lucky having being in the same area for a long time, and farming with family next door. And they're also friends that are other families, not related, that have been farming in this area, the Starks, the Cedarwalls, also for a few generations. So there's quite a connection in the area.
Well, that's awesome. Have you always been farming with vines?
The farms, are, like most farms in the past, were very mixed. We've only been solely vineyards for the last, I'd say, 15 years. When probably not. Every now and then we plant vegetables, etc., but not on a large scale. We do have lavender, which is also not on a large scale. But before that, the farming was very mixed in this area. There was always vineyard, but with, say, dairy, vegetables, fruit trees. You pretty much cattle and chickens, pigs. So whatever, and sheep, whatever you can think of, they farmed with. I think my father farmed with everything. Whenever he thought of a new idea, he started farming with it, which is probably wasn't the best thing to do, but because you couldn't, bit of a jack of all trades in the end. You should focus on a few things, I think. That's what we thought. But then you have a look at the other point of view and you think, have all your eggs in one basket. I don't know. So I don't know what the answer is.
I think that answer has changed a lot now. There's a lot of people that focused on the tourism industry in the whole business and never thought that the worldwide tourist industry would come to a standstill. So, that all the eggs in one basket theory has been tested severely in, with what we're having at the moment.
You're right. I think up until sort of a week before they announced we were going into lockdown, let's say for the Meye, our most stable income was call it the hospitality side. Whereas when I say hospitality, cellar door and restaurant and venue income. And within 10 days, that was non-existent.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So, unfortunately, you have a bit of a diversified business, and I'm interested to hear more about the lavender. I mean, you're bringing a bit of France into South Africa. So, did you start cultivating the lavender? And actually, what I'm interested in is, where do you actually sell this?
Yeah. So the lavender, we started off just planting lavender for oil, and my thinking was, probably close to 20 years ago now. It's always remained small. It's never, my idea was that if you're farming, that you could add value, that you could make products with your lavender, with the lavender oil, added to different things, which quite honestly I haven't done. So we've just been selling the oil to a few health shops and from the farm. And my thinking was as well, wine is very expensive to move around. If you have it to courier it somewhere, it's costly. Lavender in a 10 ml bottles it's very affordable to move around. It's also high value. So if you're looking at the same volume of lavender oil and the same volume of wine, you sort of can't compare it. It's very valuable. So I also thought it was something different to do, although there are a few farms that have it now, so we're not unique. Then a few years ago we started planting a different variety which we sell as cut flowers. So that's a lot simpler. We started last week. We pick and bunch and we sell it just very much locally in Stellenbosch to the few shops, delis, etc. And it's kind of a nice extra business to have, particularly in the winter. And it's also something if we're dropping off wine, it's very easy in Stellenbosch, it's very easy to have a bit of lavender, a few lavender bunches in the vehicle and doing that at the same time. It doesn't, they work well together.
Yeah, so that's interesting. So, I mean, your like you said, your hospitality business. Tell us a little bit about that. You have a restaurant called The Table. I've been there. It's very, very nice. And then, what type of events and stuff do you actually host?
Yeah. So when I say hospitality, it's the table restaurant doesn't belong to us. It doesn't belong to the Meye, although it is on the Meye. It belongs to Brendan and Lee. They took over the restaurant in September last year, and it's been going for 9 years, over 9 years now, excluding this period with this funny period we're going through at the moment. But it's been going for over 9 years. When you asked what other events?
Yeah, I mean, I do events. What else do you offer there when at the farm?
Oh. So besides the restaurant, we've got the old dairy's been turned into a venue, which we host weddings, we've had weddings, we've had birthdays, any kind of celebration, small seminars, conferencing. We plan to do a few music events as things open up for the summer.
How popular is live music in the wine areas?
I think it's if you can get it right, it is rather popular. If you can do it where you have a space where it starts sort of in the late afternoon or in the afternoon on a lawn on the grass with food and a light sort of picnic style food. I think that's quite popular.
And it will go on until sunset, but not much later, because I get the idea that people don't really want to go out too late when they've got to drive.
I think you're right. I think it's harder to if your hours are later at night, it's harder to get a big enough crowd to make it a viable event. And a lot of people don't like to drive out or drive back when it's dark. The countryside, they know street lights, etc., and you get people complaining. So,
well, at least you're not far from Stellenbosch. So, in case of a wedding and stuff like that, do people then stay over nearby?
We have a list of about 10 or 12 guest houses in the area within an 8K radius, but often we find people say it's close enough, you don't have to stay over. You see people arriving with shuttles, with Uber, etc. And you never know how many cars are going to come. Some of the larger weddings, I've always been surprised that sometimes it's even fewer cars than the other weddings, because people do carpooling or share lifts, or the shuttles. So you never really know. But it means we're close enough to we're close enough to Stellenbosch, northern suburbs. They're just around the corner.
Oh, that's great. So, Philip, your wines, who's your winemaker at the Meye?
Okay, so at the moment, Francois Haasbroek. So at the moment, so Francois Haasbroek is a winemaker, and he, Francois is an old friend of mine, and we do sort of a collaboration, probably for lack of a better word. So he still makes his own wine, and under the name Blackwater. So we offer him the facility. So he uses our winery, he's based here, makes his wine, and then he makes our wine for us as well. It just, and I think I suppose it's a different way of doing it. It doesn't work for everybody to do it that way, but for me, it works for us for now. Yeah.
So the philosophy that goes into the winemaking, what would you say is the main thing that you guys look at?
I think, so Francois done his second vintage here. I would say our approach has changed quite a bit from previously. And we are, let's say, the first red wine that's solely Francois' wine, let's put it that way, under Francois, is our 2019 Syrah, which is, it's unwooded. It's which is quite different.
That's interesting. Yes.
Yeah, lots of fruit. I don't know how else to I don't know how else to explain it. So lots of fruit. It's juicy. To me, it's a completely different style. We call it Syrah as opposed to Shiraz, which in the past we always referred to it as Shiraz. It's a complete different style, but it just seems to work so well, and it's just been selling so well.
So is this also a fact that you could, you don't have to wait to drink it. It's easily drinkable at a younger age. That's one of the reasons.
Exactly, and that's what we want. That's exactly what we want. We want to produce wines in that style. We still have a Cabernet, which will spend. Cabernet just takes a lot longer to be ready. It spends time in barrel, etc. But I have been most surprised at how this wine turned out, and that's the way Francois does it. And to me, we are very happy with what he's done there.
Well, that's interesting. Do you find that the market is changing? With younger people, I mean, especially millennials, seem to be more, less interested in the older style of winemaking and looking for something different.
I think you're right. I'm definitely not a millennial, but even I'm changing. No, I think you're right. It's definitely like that. And I was listening to a talk the other day and it was three American people Americans are based in very big wineries, and they're the communication, and they were just saying that millennials also, because there was an article quite recently saying that millennials are the biggest threat to the wine industry from the point of view that they're not interested in wine, or not, they haven't taken to wine like the former generations have. I suppose there's just too much choice. But what they also said was, with millennials, you don't try and fool them. Be honest about it. If you have a virtual cellar or virtual winery, don't pretend there is actually, you tell them it's a brand that you buy in, and you do this and you do that. You don't have to tell them it's on the highest peak, the coolest vineyard, etc., etc. Be honest with them, and that's what they're after: honesty, truthful. Being the truth. I think I'm going off the topic there.
No, you're not, because I think also, I mean, part of that truth is things like sustainability and biodiversity, and even people looking at things like vegan wines and stuff like that, which is, is the trend.
Yeah. Yeah, I was listening to a thing. I'm trying to think of his name now. The boss of Patagonia, the clothing company. I was listening to an interview with him, and he spoke of, I think I've got the word right, regenerative agriculture, as in where everybody's talking about. They're saying, everything is organic and blah blah blah, but also sometimes at a cost. It's also about, yes, organic, but building up the soil. Often there's still topsoil dust, even that you're growing things organically and etc. etc. But so you've got to go a step further and keeping just putting back more and more than just. I don't think organic is enough. Not that we're organic, but we like the idea, and it's a process that we'll work towards. But you can still build up your soil in the meantime.
So that's interesting. I also think that
I don't know if I'm making sense.
No, it does. But I think that the Cape Winelands has a huge advantage in that, if you go to like the big European wineries, it's almost like a production factory. In terms of they're making huge volumes, and it's not necessarily as tourism friendly as we are in the Western Cape. And it gives us a major advantage because people will still go for the experience, even if they drink a little bit less wine. They're still going to drink, they're still going to buy some wine, but they're also going to experience the environment and all the other things that you can offer in a diversified offering of tourism as a lifestyle, rather than just, buying wine and taking it home.
Yeah, I'm almost embarrassed to say I haven't visited enough wine regions of the world to see other, to give a good answer on that. But as in, we're not the only place with smaller wineries. You see many countries with smaller and even smaller than the average one over here, I guess, which somehow seem to stay afloat. I don't know how they do it. I don't know if it's the European or subsidies that they get, but it's that fine line about being large enough, small enough, but that it works. You want to end up being, you don't want to just be small that you got to sell at super high prices because you just, to me, that's also not right.
Yeah, it's also not, like you say, sustainable over time. Talking about prices and stuff like that, what do you guys have about do you have any specials at the moment, with this whole situation that's going on that you would like to tell us about?
We have been doing case specials, and we changed that. If you come and collect, a full case of something, we have a far better price.
We'll give you free delivery if you come and collect, right?
And we do direct. Yeah.
I'm just joking.
That changes weekly because there's been a mad rush, as with everybody, I think, as soon as the things opened up. So our stock levels are we're out of stock with quite a few wines, but we're bottling again next week. So I can't tell you exactly because next week we'll have or the week after next, we'll have different, we have more wine on our list, and we'll have the specials on those wines as well. So it's difficult to say that at the moment we're out of rosé, we're out of Chardonnay, etc., and we're bottling those two next week.
So if people want to get information on this, where do they find you where did they get the information from?
We do have a website, but the website is busy being redone. Our online shop should be done by the end of this week, I hope. Yeah.
Okay, so you have an online shop that's going to be done, and okay, so we'll put the links on the website down in the description here. Where are your wines being sold? Mostly locally?
Yeah, we export and local percentage, but we're probably about 50-50 or 60-40 export, and our sort of biggest market is, and so Germany Denmark, Holland, England, Africa. And then of the local market, we sell more. Most of our sales are done directly from. In the beginning, we wanted to be everything to everybody, and you wanted your wine to be all over. And as things have changed, we've changed, and now. And I'm not saying it's the correct way or the wrong way to do it, but for now, that's how we're doing it.
Do you think local sales tourism environment?
I see. Yeah, I think it's going to be very important. Obviously, if you have a certain size, export is very important. You don't think you'll be able to, although I've heard stories of surprised you what percentage they sell in the local market. So maybe I'm not as informed as I should be. Important. If you think of, let's say we have few tourists, although I say that I think the tourism will come back quicker than we think. But let's say it is important to be local, probably more than ever to be. It has changed. I don't think you have to be available in every retail store. Yeah, online shop. We should have done that long ago. The situation now is not the same as during lockdown or not. Yeah, the coronavirus. Nothing for the Meye. We do need to improve on our marketing awareness. I've been around making wine for 22 years, and I think we're still one of we're quite social media. We have to improve on that side of our business largely. As I say, I think we're still unknown, and it's time to.
I think everybody's in the same situation, right? And so that's I mentioned that in wine marketing and that. And so on.
I think definitely it's going to. If you look at listening to what those three companies were talking about, if you're dealing with particularly the millennials, then you have to speak to them, and that's the way you speak to them. It's not this traditional way of, but it's the online. You can't not get involved I think your business will die if you don't attract them to your business.
Your wine journey has been quite a few years. What have you learned from your wine journey personally?
It's been, do you want the honest opinion? It's a hard business. Not saying it's a tough business. A very nice business to be involved in. I say from an industry rather. Very nice. Some really nice people, and they talk. In the wine business, you're part of the same tribe. I think no matter what, retail, journalism, etc., you'll have a common interest, and which is rather nice to treat like that. From the business side, it's difficult. I think no matter what part of the business you're in, it's very capital intensive. For people that have, like any industry, some are flying. I'm not saying the majority coast along. And please, everybody, don't try and be everything for everybody. I'm repeating myself there. It's so easy to get into the trap of someone's overflowing, and you go, no, we don't. And then you think 3 months later, let's start producing one and sourcing one. It's just just too many. Yeah, don't try and do everything.
Oh, that's interesting. So I always ask everybody the same question. Do you have a favorite in the wine industry?
I don't have my own quote, but there like in particular is I don't know whose quote this is the art of winemaking is being able to practice your craft. If you can get that right, then you're doing okay.
That's quite interesting. I've never heard that before. So that's awesome.
I'm not claiming that.
So thanks for talking to us. And
thank you. Yeah, thanks for chatting to me.
Thank you for supporting our show. If you would like to get more exposure for your business, please have a look at our sponsorship options. Thanks again for supporting About the Winelands. Please follow us on YouTube and on our social media channels. All details and links are in the description.